Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to the full shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
I'm Alexandra Sherer.
And this is It's Movie Time. And well, my politically oriented granddaughter, who is in law school, is here visiting, and I thought who better to comment on the new film that just came out on Christmas Day called Vice. Alexandra, what's this film about?
I'm not sure exactly, to be honest. I know some people were saying it was a movie to sort of humanize Dick Cheney.
Yes, if that's possible. I don't think it is.
I don't think they accomplished that.
No, they didn't. I know. It stars Christian Bale.
Mm-hmm.
What
Who
about
I love.
his?
I love so much.
Is he good here?
Oh yeah, he's great.
What's special about his performance in this?
He obviously gained a lot of weight for the role, and I just thought his commitment to the role was extremely powerful.
You know, he just always goes 100%, if not more.
Yep.
And if he walked into the room as Dick Cheney, you'd say, "My gosh, it's Dick Cheney."
Mm-hmm.
You would never say it's Christian Bale.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't just impersonate him. He really catches, for me, some of his gravity. How about you?
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel the presence of Dick Cheney?
Yeah, I did. I thought the storytelling was a bit jumpy, and I got sort of confused as to what they were talking about at certain moments, but I thought his performance, and I thought a lot of their performances alone, were very good.
I mean, Amy Adams as
Oh yeah, she was
Lynn
probably
Cheney.
my favorite, yeah. Yeah, she really transformed.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they depict him, now this is a docudrama, and I'm sure they took liberties, but that he was a lush at 22 years old and going nowhere.
Yeah.
And then Lynn Cheney comes along and says, you're out.
Mm-hmm.
And he does.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about Cheney that that Adam McKay now, who did The Big Short, so he knows something about things, actions that affect an entire country, as he did with the mortgage fiasco.
Mm-hmm.
So here he's taking a man, Dick Cheney, who became, how did he become the most powerful man in the world, perhaps?
Well, I mean, some would say that George W. Bush wasn't that strong in his position, and so Dick Cheney, well, that's what they said in the film,
Yes.
is that he wanted to kind of take over, and George W. Bush, because he wanted him as his running mate, just kind of agreed to it.
Yes.
So I don't know if that's actually what happened, but that's definitely what they said.
Well, those are good comments. First of all, I lived through it, of course, so it makes much more sense to me than it would to you, but it seems to be accurate in the major points. That is, he was under Nixon. He was in his cabinet. He was in Gerald Ford's cabinet. He was a guy who was just unassuming, but he knew somehow how to get in there, and he did. So when George W. Bush asked him to be his vice president, he says, look, that's just a symbolic role. He says, I've been Secretary of Defense, I've been Chief of Staff. You know, how am I going to do that? But that one clip, do you remember it between him and Bush? Can you characterize that for us?
Well, I thought Bush was kind of over the top, and, you know, I don't know if he was exactly like that. I mean, he had some elements of that in real life, but I don't know if that was totally what he was like. But I do wonder if they actually had conversations like that.
And what was the conversation?
Bush was kind of saying, oh, I really want you to be my running mate, and, Cheney was saying, well, this is symbolic, I'm not sure about that. And then he said, well, maybe if we have sort of a different understanding.
Yes, he said, well, I can take foreign affairs. And
yeah, and he was like, okay.
Right? And they were portraying W, perhaps unfairly, as just
I think so.
a simpleton almost, a cowboy, frat boy. And while I think he's been savagely lampooned for that his whole life. So I think you're right. I think that was over the top. To me, Bush leveled out as the film went on. We got less of that. And but it was more seriously devoted to Dick Cheney. And I'll never forget that moment about the Iraq War where Cheney just kind of whispers in his ear, "You're the president. You can do whatever you want." Right?
And then the whole 9/11 part was very powerful too.
Yes.
Because I was also wondering if that's actually what it was like in the room at the time when the towers hit.
Yes. I wonder that. And of course, with a docudrama, you're never going to know for sure.
Yeah.
But if it did capture the spirits. Now, as a Republican, you are a Republican and you are not a rabid Republican. You are very reasonable, from my liberal Democratic point of view, a very reasonable Republican, and you're heavily involved in politics in New York City. Does this ring true in any way for you?
Yeah, the part that I thought really took me back and I was like, wow, this is exactly what it's like, was when Cheney was campaigning and he was in the room full of veterans.
Yes.
And it's just exactly like how a political speech is, and how people are kind of uninterested and they're only there for the food, and I thought that really captured.
Good. All right, good. How about his ability to move things? Did you see anything in Bale's performance that indicated to you, oh yeah, Cheney's a good one. He's a good politician. Is there anything about him as a politician, as you've seen so many, as a Republican, as a conservative? How does he come off?
I guess how he chose how to get close to the right people.
Yes.
And that's how he figured out how to move up.
Yes.
And that's really what you need to do.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's a great point. There's a moment that endeared even my liberal heart to him, and that was about his daughter. Do you remember that? What was that about?
When he told her she could be anyone she wanted to be, right? It didn't matter to him who she chose to date.
Right, because
she was interested in women.
Yes, right. So she was a lesbian, and here he was an arch conservative, and I really was moved by the fact, and it's true, that when he supported her, and I think even Lynn Cheney kind of let her go at some point, and her sister. But I'll be darned if Cheney didn't have some real humanity about him and his daughter. He was willing to let the chips fall as they may, but he was not going to lie about his affection for her. And so Christian Bale portrays arguably the most powerful vice president in the history of our great nation. And as you pointed out, he was a powerful political operative whom you never would have put your money on as a young man. Now, Alexandra, would you recommend your conservative friends to see this film? Because clearly Adam McKay is liberal. In the end, this is a liberal piece. Would you recommend it?
I would, for their individual performances, but not necessarily for the storytelling aspect of it, because, like I said, it was really choppy and sort of strange, the clips they put in, and I don't know if everyone would enjoy that, if they would have that quirky sense of, oh, okay, this is interesting. But I do think his performance alone, I think that's a reason to watch it. And also Amy Adams as well.
You're so good. You stayed right away from the conservative liberal clash here by talking about their performances.
Yeah, because you can I feel like you can appreciate in filmmaking different points of view, and it's not an upsetting thing at all. Like, I wasn't personally affected by their portrayal of him, thinking it was too unfair.
All right. You mean as a Republican, you didn't feel that they savaged him unconsciously.
No.
Great. And I feel that same point. And I've gone in and out of that film without thinking about liberal or conservative, but thinking, as you said, the performances. So, Alexandra Sherer, the film is Vice. What grade would you award it?
Out of 10?
No, ABC.
A C+.
All right, good. I didn't expect that. And I'm going to give it a B+.
Okay.
And that's what makes It's Movie Time such an exciting experience. We never know before we come in. And I think we have a really balanced view.
I agree.
Yeah. So, a great film, Vice, a great film to see and enjoy, regardless of your political orientation.
Absolutely.